Well, I'm excited to talk to you about it. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'd love to start by saying congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very appreciated. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, as you should be. So I would love to start with, what drew you to this series? Were you familiar with the subject material? Had you read the book before? Um, yeah.
Well, it started actually in 2015 when the book came out. My sister, who loves movies and books, she sent me All the Light We Cannot See and said, you have to read this book. And if they make this into a movie, you have to shoot it. And I'm going like, oh my God, what are the chances, right? But I read it and I went like, wow, it's visually so beautifully written. And I thought it would be a dream job for any cinematographer to take this on. And then, I would have never thought that I had a chance to, be up for this movie and or for this show. And then I had worked with Sean Levy in Canada on the Adam project. And that's when he started the process of making All the Light We Cannot See. And he asked me to, work with him on it. And it was just like, wow, dream came true. And I felt like, I was really destined to make this.
Yeah, that's
Starting with my
so fun.
sister right at the beginning.
I know, just like to have made that comment and then it turns out that you actually get to shoot that. That's incredible.
It's incredible. The coincidences are just like slim to nothing, right? When you think about it, right? Because you have to
Right.
find the director, you have to be able to be up for it, you have to be the right person for it. I mean, the chances were so slim, but it was one of those books when I read it, I went like, oh, this would be incredible to put on the screen. So I feel very fortunate that I'm part of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, you shot all 4 episodes of the limited series. What was it
Yeah.
like creating the look for this show?
It started actually where Sean has a very clear vision of what he likes and what he wants, and he had put together a lookbook that with his production designer Simon Elliott, and he sent it to me right away when they started in pre-production, and it was really just how I saw the movie when I read it first, and then I put my own reference images together. I have a secret weapon. My daughter helps me in this. My daughter Aisha, she has an incredible taste and she's a director, and we work together on all our creative decisions. And so she helped me put together a lookbook too. And then we get together, Sean and I got together, and we go through all the images and kind of point out what we like in terms of lighting or framing. And then we collect our favorite images, and that becomes our lookbook for the movie. And
That's awesome.
it was like that, right? And it when I see it now, it's exactly how those images we collected turned out to be.
Yeah. So, what were some of those things that were inspiring you in that early process of figuring out the look?
Well, it is like I look at lighting, I look at the tones and colors of images, what fits. I mean, we decided right from the beginning, I think, to not go too heavy in a period look. We
Hmm.
felt like, the story, we want the audience to really feel like they're at that time in this world.
Yeah.
And, I sometimes think, 80 years ago, the light was still the same as it is now, right? The
Right.
practice, I mean, now we have LED lighting, but in general, the lighting was the same. So we felt like we didn't want to go too heavy in terms of a period look, but make the production design, the colors, and the wardrobe really set the tone for the period.
Hmm.
And then Sean is very, we go out to all the locations and storyboard everything and together and then we have a Bible that we go by when we start shooting.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what stands out to you as something that you're particularly proud of in this nominated episode, which is the second episode of the series?
It was really, really, I found it was the most difficult thing to pick one episode out of the four. I actually had help from my fellow cinematographer and best friend, John Joffin, who's
Uh-huh.
also nominated this year for music video category, half-hour
And
category.
Schmigadoon, yep.
He's my best friend. We share a lot of our knowledges about cinematography. He was my assistant 35 years ago,
Wow.
and he helped me pick the episode and helped me pick those things because it was too hard for me. one of the things for episode 2, it's actually one shot that stands out to me the most, and it's the most non-noticeable shot, maybe in a way. But when we shot it, it just worked out. It's a shot when Werner gets driven to this National Institute, and he's in the car and he drives in, and we wanted to reflect what he's about to see become, what's going to come to him. In the reflections over the window, which means the institute and the kids being the military drills and everything. So it was, just the way we angled the camera on this window. I had to wait for the right time of the day. So the building and the kids were front lit, so they would reflect harder in the window, and then his ratio. And when we shot it, and then background had to be perfectly timed for when he was driving in, so it reflects at the right time. It was help from my first AD and from obviously the director and from Sean Levy. And it just came together that when we finished the shot, everyone got out of, behind the monitor and went like, wow, this just told so much in one single shot. Even though now it is cut up a little bit, unfortunately, but it happens in editing. You can't always have, everything in one shot. But that shot to me stands out as like one of those perfect shots that tell so much. And so I just stuck with that episode because of that one shot, even though there are, episode 4 was probably the most challenging for me because it was that scene where Werner runs through the town and tries to get to Mary's house, and he's going along the seawall, and all the bombing goes off and all the lighting effects we had to do. And that we shot on an outdoor stage in Budapest, we shot in Saint-Malo, we shot in this small town Villefranche in France, and it all kind of had to come together as one. And that was probably my most challenging episode in that respect. But I don't know, I just went with the more natural lit scenes. Those scenes had a lot of visual effects, but they were maybe visually more impressive. But I don't know, you have to pick something. I'm proud of all the episodes, but I feel like it's very hard to, pick one over the other. Everyone has something that I love.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that that's a big part of it, is that it's a story that doesn't really feel necessarily separated into individual episodes. It feels like, a kind of like a very long movie.
It was like a long movie, right? I mean, movies nowadays, they are 3.5 hours long,
Right.
right?
I mean, so basically it was a movie.
But we shot it like a movie, right? We didn't shoot it by episodes. We shot it by, everything. We had 80 days to shoot 4 episodes, and we shot it, as much, location by location, but never like, oh, episode 1, 2, 3, 4. It was all mixed up.
Yeah.
It was very enjoyable. It's a beautiful story. It's a story I think that's so relevant today, right? I mean, sometimes I watch the news and I go like, oh my God, we're shooting. There's the same images that we just recreated 80 years ago, from 80 years ago, that is still happening right now, right? Innocent children get killed, and it has to stop. So I'm hoping that we have a little influence with our show of just, more for people to recognize that, it's been 80 years and nothing has changed, and we have to start changing things, right? So hopefully that resonates a little bit with what we did.
Yeah. No, I
So
think
it felt like a very important movie to make, an important story to tell. And a big challenge for me was, this is such a visual book that everyone has their own visualization of it, and you have to, not that, of course you're not going to please everyone, but I was hoping to really, and I work a lot by instinct, I think, in a sense, right? What I felt like when I read the book, how I bring this on the screen. I used a lot of soft light because I just felt like, it felt like a softer movie in a sense. The light, I went for a lot of used practical lighting as my sources and as my motivation for light. I had to light. I didn't have to, but I tried to light as low as I can in certain moments, because our actress, who's blind, is very sensitive to bright light. So I kept lights inside. I mean, she was wearing contact lenses too, but we tried to light as low as I could. It's also at the time with the bombings going on, there was never any practical lights outside in the streets on. Inside, we kept it very low, few practical, sometimes a little just by the light of the dials from the radio, trying to, use that as a motivation. So I felt that was a nice challenge to, to make, and it was a great challenge to make her comfortable. She was a first-time actress as a blind actress. Being thrown into a movie set must be just, unbelievable. And I was very lucky. I had my camera operator, Lukas Spielen, just has such an amazing energy with actors, and they feel so comfortable around it. And he just created this comfortable world for her, because a lot of times we were, a foot away. I used large format lenses because I wanted to use wider lenses close in without distortion. But he sometimes, whole scenes we shot where the camera is a foot away from her, and she had to be comfortable, not, being blind. You have to be comfortable of having someone that close, right?
Right.
And he did an amazing job that way. So it was very inspiring. It was very inspiring to be around someone who is, blind, and to see their world that we don't usually see the way they have to, and she was incredible how she was able to, map out a room in a very short amount of time and be able to literally hit marks with, like she had that all worked out, right? The only thing we had to do was be careful that if we put something new into the room, that she would, we would make her aware of it.
Yeah.
She was really incredible that way. I never had to worry about her not hitting the marks, or, or finding the right light. She just had that natural thing. I mean, she could feel bright light, so she could, she realized that after a short amount of time where my lights were and what that meant.
Yeah.
Right? So it was
Which is amazing, because the same can't even be said for all seeing actors, that they're gonna hit their mark and find their light. So
I know.
that's pretty great.
Yeah,
And it's wonderful to hear, on the personal scale, as well as the, larger scale of telling a story that has an important message behind it, but also, knowing that in the process of making it, there was that security and compassion, and everyone was working together in that kind of way, is always really delightful to hear.
Yeah, no, it was really one of my best experiences. But I have to say, Sean Levy puts that out. He's, I love working with him. He's got the most positive energy on set, right? He's great with the actors. He's great with, knowing where the camera needs to be. So it makes it very easy for me in a way to work with someone like Sean, because it gives me the time to light. He was great with my opera. They got along, Lukas and him got along really well. That helps me out a lot. And then I had all the support by Mary McLaughlin, the line producer, and Josh McLaughlin, our first AD. We all worked for the same goal. He, because a lot of the times we shot outside, and on a schedule of 20 days, it's really hard to, of 20 days per episode.
Yeah.
It's really hard sometimes to schedule things that are perfect for me for lighting outside, but he always managed to do it. He always goes like, tell me what you need, tell me what time you want to be here, I'll make it work for you. And that's why, I'm proud of episode 2, because there's a lot of daytime scenes actually, and sometimes that's the hardest for us when we're in the time crunch, right, to make those look good.
Right.
And,
there's a lot of variables a little bit out of your control when it comes to that.
For sure.
Well, what's it like to be nominated for an ASC award for your work on this series?
It's a dream. I think it was a dream of mine forever to be an ASC member. That's, like you go to film school and you read the ASC manual, and you watch these movies with cinematographers, ASC behind it, and they're your heroes, and you look up to them. And so to become a member was incredible. And then, just being recognized by your peers, it's just the biggest honor I can think of, right, for a cinematographer. And, I'm thrilled, and I'm honored, and I'm thankful to all the members for, I think this year was really, really hard, because there's such good work out there that, I look at, like I loved all the movies this year. The television work has become so good that I really feel honored to be a part of it this year and to be recognized for it. Right? It's amazing.
Yeah.